Alrighty, and welcome to another fantabulous episode.
Fantabulous. That's a new word for you.
Indeed.
I like it.
I just learned it. I'm trying to widen my vocabulary, so shout out to dictionary.com. No, I'm kidding. Welcome, so you think you're fine, peeps, to another fantabulous episode that we have for you.
Yes.
Of course, your hosts, Artemis.
Hello, hello.
And Bethany. We are going to do something exciting. I mean, all episodes are exciting, but we're going to dabble a little bit more into who is Artemis.
Who am I?
Exactly. Do you know?
I don't know. Do you know?
Girl, I don't even know who the hell I am every day. No, I'm kidding. No, but we are going to give you guys, the listeners, a bit more of history.
Yeah.
Also for me, too. I know you, but I still don't know you. You know, it's like an ever-going...
I think I'm a mystery.
Literally.
Honestly, even the people that I dated probably didn't know me.
Damn, that's facts. And that's on trauma. Not kidding.
Check.
Literally traumatized, but I'm sure everyone can relate. Alrighty, so to start, you've mentioned that your early life was not in the States.
Hold on, let me shake it off a little bit.
Oh yeah, take it.
We're starting early, you know?
We're going like
we're digging deep
Emis.
right now.
Yeah.
You have a list of questions that you're going to ask me, don't you?
And I'm going to just shoot off the hip.
I'm ready.
Are you?
Gonna get to know me.
Let's go. All right. So you grew up in Europe.
Yes, I did.
Yes, and remind listeners where exactly.
So I was born in Albania.
Alrighty.
And I lived there till I was 12.
Beautiful. And what drew you back to the States?
Nothing. I'm kidding. I didn't have a choice.
Yeah.
As a child, when your parents move to another country, you kind of have to go along with them, you know?
That's fair. And they say eat your broccoli, you eat your broccoli.
Fantastic. We didn't have broccoli in Albania at the time.
Really?
Yeah, we had cauliflower.
Oh.
Broccoli is man-made.
Really? Dude, dang, you're giving me some facts. Okay. Okay, so you came to the States, you were 12.
Yes.
All right.
I did.
And you mentioned that your grandparents were with you, correct? If I remember correctly?
No.
Okay.
So my parents, obviously, but my great grandpa, back in the day, he, used to own like 3 hotels in Boston.
Oh.
Sold them for independence of Albania, so he moved back. One of his daughters, so he had 3 daughters, my great grandpa Thomas, but they had 3 daughters with Artemis, which was my great grandma, and.
Aww.
That's where my name comes from.
Jr.
Technically, yeah, you're right.
That's beautiful.
I don't know how far back it goes for the name, but one of his daughters moved in America. They stayed in America, got married in America.
Yeah.
The other 2 daughters stayed in Albania, which was my grandma and my grandma's sister. And my grandparents were old when I was a kid. They were like 72, 73 years old when I was a kid. So.
And when you were in Albania, you were really close with them, right?
Yeah, my grandma was like my best friend. So,
Aww.
it was very close to them.
Oh, I love that.
So,
okay. And then, so now you're in the States, and
Yes.
you went to school.
I
You
did.
went to school in East Coast.
Yes. So we moved right away to Illinois.
That's right.
And fun fact, I didn't speak a word of English. I knew pencil.
Oh,
I knew
that's
pencil.
beautiful.
I knew pen.
Ah.
I knew hello
Let's
and goodbye.
go. Okay.
And then because they teach you the English.
Yeah.
So like I'm at school and I was like, "Hey, can I have a rubber?" And they're like,
What?
It's called an eraser.
Yeah, okay.
So
I was like, damn.
they're
that's
like, "A
bold of you.
what?" And they're like, eraser.
Yeah.
Now here's the good news. Obviously, I was in ESL, but I was really good in math. I had a bunch of Albanian kids, but also like the girls that I was hanging out with in 7th grade, 8th grade, they spoke French, and English is my 4th language. So Albanian, Italian, French,
Dang.
and then English. So it was easy for me to communicate in French with them and kind of get around.
Yeah.
Because I just didn't speak any English, and I learned English summer break of 7th grade before I went to 8th grade. So like within 3 months,
That's
we
crazy.
picked up.
Do you think it's because you already knew 3 languages? I feel like I've heard people say once you know multiple languages, it's easier to catch on to others.
That, but also when you're a kid, you just pick up things a lot faster. Now, I can't tell you that I was great in grammar. Like, I wasn't.
Yeah.
Like, even when I spell things in my head right now, I have to spell it back in Albanian first.
Yeah.
And then spell it in English. It's really, don't ever question me to spell things.
For the listeners, we played Word Scramble a few days ago, and I crushed her. Absolutely crushed her. Like, I had 30 words on the board, and she had 3. And I said, dude, I killed you. And she said, my first language is Albanian. And
I said, let's play Albanian Scramble.
Which I know my place, no. I would die at that.
See, there you go. See, I told you. Don't ask me to spell things. It takes a while.
That's great. Well, kudos to you, girl. Like,
thank you.
A quadlingual queen. Like, that's...
You have no choice.
True. I think it was a survival thing. You're like, I need to learn.
It was mandatory for me to learn French. So I was supposed to go to a French high school. And then I was supposed to move to France for my, bachelor's and stuff. So obviously things, changed, but it was mandatory for me. And I loved Italian when I was a kid. I hated French. I hated it so much.
Really?
So it was mandatory in school.
The language was hard to grasp?
It just sucks. There's
oh, it's like a lot of
I don't think it's a love language, but everybody loves it.
Yeah.
Now I'm better with it. I coped with it after, being made to take it private and in school. So yeah, that was fun.
Well, beautiful. Well, question, who or what would you say had the biggest impact on your life growing up?
Damn, that's a big one.
Since you're in that.
So, if I could pick, 2 people, I think I would have to pick, my parents are amazing. I love my mom and dad. I think they're, awesome. I think they were young parents when they had me. Yeah. But, the main person that kind of, raised me was my grandpa. So, when I was a kid, my grandpa would take me everywhere with him and, make my breakfast, take me to, take me to hang out with his friends. Yeah. So my friends were 76-year-olds when I was a 2.
I love that.
And we played dominoes.
Yeah.
So if anybody wants to play me with dominoes, get at it. I'm really, really good.
We were just playing the wrong game. Dominoes is your jam.
It's my jam.
Yeah, I'd have to be careful to play with you because you'd probably kill me on that.
It's pretty great. I love it. Oh. But my grandpa, and I think a lot of things that, he taught me was how to be very strong and independent and just not take crap from other people. Mm-hmm. I think that was a big thing for him, and probably because he probably thought I was kind of like a boy just hanging out with him all the time.
You're one of the boys,
a little I was one of the boys. I was one of the young kids over there. So I think he was just a wonderful human being, and I think that's pretty much why I take things and do things in life the way that I do.
That's beautiful.
And the way that I am a lot of times too. If things, break, you just gotta get up. And that was his thing. If things fall, you just gotta move along and find a solution and do X, Y, Z. So I think my grandpa was my main person, but obviously I love my parents.
Yeah,
they were great, but my grandpa.
I mean, I think everyone definitely had a hand in shaping who you are today, of course. But I love that you had your grandpa in that way. You mentioned potentially another person.
Yeah.
Do you know?
I think my mom.
Your mom.
I mean, my mom and dad are both very strong, and they're very kind humans. They're very loving, very caring. Mm-hmm. But I think my mom went through a lot when she was, when she was younger in her age. After having me and stuff, and I think the way that her life turned and how strong she was, I think that had to do on the female side of being brought up with her. I think that had a lot to do with it too. Now that's not to say that you disagree with your mom when you're in your teenage years or things like that, but there was a lot of good things that she taught me and values that I cherish to the day. So yeah.
That's beautiful. And I mean, a little bit to now that we're in the aspect of your childhood, early life, you grew up as an only child, correct?
I did grow up as an only child. I was very close with my cousins. So my cousins were kind of my family. Yeah. I used to spend a lot of time at my grandma's house during the summertime, and we always used to hang out in the summer with my cousins. My cousin, I consider him my little brother that we grew up with, and he's like my little brother. But we had, I mean, if you've seen my Big Fat Greek Wedding, that's
I love that movie.
That's our family is back home.
On everything.
Yeah,
let's go.
I don't know if we did the Windex in my house, but there was definitely some things.
What's the replacement for Windex for your family?
So we do this thing whenever you have fever. Do you know what raki is?
No, what is that?
It's like a strong ass vodka that like we make.
Okay.
But like Serbian people, Greeks like us, like we make it. And so like if you do that, like when you're sick, when your kids are sick, like
take a shot of it, or
no.
what do you do?
I mean, like when kids were little, like and their teeth were coming out, grandpas would be like, dip your finger in there and just put them on their teeth. So like, you know, it's a little different.
Yes, it's fine. Yeah.
But you take an aspirin, like boil it with the raki, and like they would just put it on like your little like wrist, your feet and temples and stuff, and it helps with fever. So that's the equivalent to Windex.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. That's awesome, because you really don't think like I mean I'm sure the listeners can say it. I know we just know our ways from how we grew up.
Yeah.
And those little like quirky things.
We have a lot of weird shit. Pardon my French, but like we have a lot of weird stuff.
Can you think of another one just off the top of your head?
Yeah, when you get sunburned, we put yogurt on your body.
What? So what's that?
It's the equivalent of aloe vera.
Oh, okay. Okay.
It helps with the burning. It helps with your skin, so it doesn't like blister and feel. Yeah, yogurt.
I'm assuming
yogurt.
like just regular Greek yogurt, not like vanilla.
No, just the regular kind. Slather it on.
I love that. Okay.
What else you got?
All right. Next one. What's one lesson you've learned in your journey of life so far that you think everyone should hear? It's another heavy hitter.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of lessons that I've learned, to be honest with you, but I think the one thing that has really helped me going through my ups and my downs, and trust me, that there have been a lot of downs in my life.
Yeah.
A lot of losses, a lot of things that, you know, then obviously we'll talk about and open up more about it, but always look at your cup half full every single time. I have never looked at my cup half empty ever, and I think that people who tend to look at their cup half empty, they struggle with things in life. They struggle with accepting things, and I've always looked at it with an open, you know, like a full cup. Like life is about experiences, it's about taking chances, and it's about, you know, if you fall down, you got to get back up, right?
Exactly.
So like I always have been like a chance taker, like throughout my whole entire life. And let me tell you, like there's been times that I have been like knocked down, like face first. Honestly, I truly mean that. And I have just taken it with a grain of salt, and it's like, hey, that's life. It's the beauty of it. And every lesson that I have learned, I'm like, it was a lesson that I learned and I grew from it, versus seeing it as like, why did this happen to me? I never see things as why did they happen to me.
That's beautiful.
So always cup half full.
I love that. That's a great perspective to have, and I love how you said the word risk taker, because I mean, what's that one saying? Oh my gosh, I'm blanking right now. The shot's taken. Oh, that was gonna be beautiful, and I just fumbled this. Oh, you miss all the shots you don't take.
Yeah,
there you
100%.
go. Wow,
Yeah.
come on now, I've seen that ever. But yeah, like you need to take risk, and you only have so much to gain by doing so, and you have so much to lose by not.
100%.
By taking those risks, you can.
It's
only gain.
50-50.
Exactly.
Like if you don't take a chance in things, you're always going to miss out on. I would rather have somebody tell me no and be like, okay, like, well, I took my shot, than ever wonder why I didn't do XYZ, why I didn't take that chance, like all that. Like I think that's super important. So cup, always half full.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Well, let's go a little bit into just like your passion and interests. Let's give a little bit of the listeners an idea like what some of your hobbies are, passions besides being
How much time we got?
a baddie who has a podcast that she does.
Okay, so this goes back to when I was a child. I have a wild imagination. I'm just going to put it out there.
Yeah.
So like when I was a kid, like I used to play like soccer with the boys, and then be like, okay, I got to play Barbies with the girls, and I used to make like my own dresses for the Barbies and stuff like that. Because I loved it.
Yeah.
So my mom was like head designer for a Greek company when I was a kid, and I always used to go and like visit her at at her shop.
Yeah.
It was a lot of like sewing and stuff. So like her coworkers used to be like, oh, come with me. So I used to like sew things.
Yeah.
Technically they would, so I was a kid, right?
Yeah.
But
you were there. You were being involved.
I was there, yeah. So I would just do a lot of drawing. I've always been like into art, and I love that. So my first hobby as a kid, like I love painting. All my books had paintings in them, and I'd go through like random phases of being like carrots.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Go carrots.
Trees, Christmas trees, whatever it may be. So anytime, I was never bored as a kid. If to put it in perspective, like I was never a bored kid. I always used to come up with games or do things. So anything artsy, I love. I love painting. I love drawing. I've been taking pottery lately, which I'm like obsessed with it because then I get to like draw and paint the stuff that I make.
Exactly.
So I've been doing that. Like, am I great at it? Not really.
You will be down the road.
Hey, you know what?
You gotta learn somewhere.
Yeah, so I enjoy it. What else? I love cooking.
Yes.
I've always enjoyed cooking.
Your vodka pasta is delicious.
Thank you.
I love that.
So any cooking, I've been dabbling into baking. Like I'll make like some, desserts and stuff too, which I like, but I love anything that's artsy, and I like things that are visually pleasing. So whenever I like plate my plates, like they have to be pretty, like, I don't know.
I think the perfect word for you is crafty. You're so crafty.
Yeah, it's a good word.
Like you have a great imagination, which is awesome because that allows you to just excel in those areas.
Yeah, I'm a crafty bee.
You're a crafty girl. You are crafty as heck. Yeah, for sure.
So
well, I love that. And just to kind of like dive into a bit more, you said baking. I'm intrigued. Like, what have you been baking lately that you're dabbling into?
I did like this date cake that I made with chocolate cake, and it was so good. I've been on a kick for like dates lately, and since I've been trying not to eat so much like sugars and stuff, like that's the best way to do it. So like you get the dates in the mix, and that's the sugar that you add into your cake. So I've been doing that.
I like that. That's a very healthy alternative, which is nice.
People liked it. Yeah, so it was good.
Dude, you're gonna have to make it again and slide your girl a slice.
Anytime.
A little piece.
Anytime.
Well, what would you say is something that always gets you excited or motivated no matter how you're feeling? So, like, let's say you're down in the dumps, which everyone can relate to, happens. What's something that you can, think of or remind yourself that kind of gets you out of that headspace?
That's a great question. So, this might sound a little crazy, but, like, accountability is a big thing for me.
Okay.
So, if I know that I have to do something because I have to do it, I will always do it.
Okay.
That can come in with, having plans with a friend or, meeting somebody for lunch or whatever it may be. If I know that I made a responsibility on things, I will always do it. It's not necessarily one of the things that's just like, get me out of bed kind of deal. Yeah. I don't think I have that, which, it's weird. Like, I don't have like a thing that's just like so motivated on things.
Yeah.
Other things motivate me.
Okay.
It's not just a me thing. So like if I wanted to stay in bed, I can't do that. And it's just like a guilt feeling, and I think it's like it might be like a childhood trauma.
Dang.
Like I'm gonna be honest with you.
I gotta go to work today.
I gotta do something today. Like there hasn't been like a day in my life that I'm just like I'm gonna just let it be, which I should.
Yeah.
Everybody should.
Rest is good.
Rest is good.
In moderation.
It's just like I think like responsibilities and things like that have always made me be like a go-getter. Like I need to do things.
Yeah.
I always have to be busy.
Would you say stress and anxiety is a big driver for you?
Oh, 100%.
Dang.
100%. Like I need to make sure that I'm doing things at all times. And that's why I said like it's got to be a childhood trauma. Like my mom waking me up as a kid be like, it's Sunday, got to clean. Let's go. Yeah, like you can't, you're sleeping past 8. Like what's happening? And this comes like, correct me if I'm wrong. Like any Eastern European parents, like we're wild, bro. Like we're psycho. Like I mean it. Like we got trauma.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I think every single person can relate on that, but I'm sure like in certain demographics it's a bit more,
it's
just a different aspect of trauma.
Like when you are an Eastern European kid, I think more on the female side. Men's side, no. I think they're so lenient with the sons, like it's just out of control. So like your mom does everything till you're like, I don't know,
little baby,
30 till you move out of the house. They do everything for you. Like the Eastern European men are a little bit different, like different species. Women though, like since you're like a kid, you become like a teenager, like you're cleaning in the house. You're doing the dishes, you're doing the vacuum, you're doing all these things, and when you come from school, like you're still doing all that stuff. Like your house is very clean. Like I can talk about, personally on my side. So like if I didn't do the dishes and my mom came home and she's like, what is this? Like, like what is this? Why wouldn't you clean this? Like who's going to clean this for you later on? So Would you say trauma? Yeah.
Yeah.
100%.
That's sad.
So now I'm like, there's a plate in the sink. You know, you can't be sitting around watching TV when there's a plate in the sink.
How dare you relax right now? That plate's not going to clean itself.
So yeah, so to answer your question, is it trauma and stress? Yep.
Yeah. Dang. I mean, I feel like, I know I can relate, so I'm sure a lot of our listeners can relate. And for those I can't, that's beautiful. I'm so happy for you.
I'm so happy for people that can take a break.
Yeah, that's great that your brain doesn't think that way or feel guilty.
Yeah.
I mean, when you were going over that, it made me think, I think also too, a big part of it is just the cultural differences back then.
Yeah.
Like women were mostly the house maintainers, right? Like clean, cook, sew, all that. So, I mean, it's just generationally passed down. So your mom was doing that to you. And I mean, I'm sure you're grateful in certain aspects because you know how to like maintain your house, you know how to like properly clean because some people don't.
Yeah.
But you know, like it's just generationally passed and there is trauma that your mom has, you know, gotten
100%.
and therefore passed to you, probably not intentionally, but sometimes.
I think my grandpa on her side, because he was an architect, like my grandpa on my mom's side, for sure OCD. 100%. Like the clothes that you wear out, you don't wear them inside the house.
Yeah.
They're specifically for that. The shoes, you don't wear them inside the house. You had slippers for that. Like all of these things. And my mom would throw things like little jabs. Like when we were kids, we used to knit our own sweaters.
Oh my God,
and you're like,
that's a parent thing. Like, okay, I'm sorry.
Or she'd be like, oh, you look so great today, but you should lose a little bit of weight.
Oh.
Or like all these little tiny things. Or like she'd be like, I like your hair straight better than curly. You look good, but mom tells you how it is. And you're like,
backhand
are
compliment,
you okay?
right?
All the time.
Oh, jeez.
See, that's the Eastern Europeans.
Yeah. That's cruel.
They can be in there like in the hospital, and you come in looking ratchet and be like, I'm in my deathbed, but Emis, you should really brush your hair or something. Like, you don't understand. The Eastern European trauma is bad.
Dang, you're like, hi, Nan, I'm so glad you're alive. I'll go out and brush my hair after this. Dang, yeah.
I'm telling you, it's hilarious too.
It's just the culture. Like, that's how they're raised. That's the mentality.
No, every time my mom tells me that she likes my hair straight all the time, I curly it. Every time.
You're just
I was like, you like my hair today?
Thanks, Mom.
She'd be like,
it's
you
fine,
just don't listen to Mom.
No.
Yeah. So.
Wow. Dang, girl. Well, that's some trauma.
Did I answer your question?
But respectfully, that's some trauma that has been passed on to you. So, but with us being in a podcast, I know you've really enjoyed it, and I know it's been a beautiful thing. What would you say is the best part about being a host, and what makes you excited about just the future of the podcast?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think we started this with a plan in mind where we wanted to be, and I think the one thing that I love about it the most, and it's not about like how popular we are, whatever it may be, right? Everything comes at its own timing.
Yeah.
The one thing that has made me extremely happy is the people who actually have been listening to us, and they send us messages on, it may be Instagram or via text message or whatever it is, and saying like, hey, like we listened to your podcast episode and it was amazing. Like I can relate to this. I can relate to that. Our episode with birth control got a ton of people talking about it, and I think the one thing that makes me very happy is to share our feelings that we have and things that we are going through, because sometimes we don't think about the fact that so many other people are going through the same things as we are.
Exactly.
And, there's certain things that may be a little bit more different than what somebody else is feeling, but we're open to getting those, communication and talk about it, right? Mm-hmm. So for me, what makes me super happy to host this podcast is the fact that, like, we can relate to other people, we can share ideas, share our feelings, share certain things that a lot of people don't think about, like health stuff that we will be, digging a little bit more deeper on, and hopefully, even if it is helping like one viewer out there to, do XYZ, then that just makes me happy. That's it.
I love that. Yeah. And that's exactly what fuels you, and that's what keeps the podcast in the direction that it needs to go.
Yeah.
Like it's true enjoyment, and it's not just for an outcome of success,
100%.
Which some people do that, and I mean, kudos to them, but I mean, you can tell the quality of it just is not the same. And I know that's something that we discussed when we were making the podcast, is we wanted it to be raw. We wanted it to be true, and we just wanted to be two girls, two women, just talking about the daily things in life that a lot of people feel lost about, and they
100%.
think like, man, if only I could almost chat with someone about this, so it's like another avenue that we can get on.
Yeah, and I think we're so honest with everybody, and we speak our mind, and we talk about it, and we talk about the struggles, and going down the line, a lot of things are going to change as well too, where we are talking about more deeper internal things that we are going through.
Exactly.
And I think those people can maybe relate, maybe not relate, but that's that.
I mean, it's great to just remember we're in a big world with a bunch of people,
Yeah.
Everyone is going through their own things. Everyone has their emotions, and it's just a good reminder, especially with social media and the busyness of life and how we're so quick to be me, that, hey, there's other people in this world with us,
Yeah.
So that's beautiful. With being in the podcast and your other personal responsibilities that you have you noticed balancing the two has kind of been a bit hard when it comes to committing or fulfilling your daily?
I mean, to be honest with you, Beth, I'm psycho.
You little Delulu?
No, not necessarily Delulu, but I'm just psycho. I need to be busy. I need to be busy. I need to, if I am not busy, I feel like I'm unfulfilled in life.
Damn.
So I need to always constantly do things. So I will book my day. I got this in the morning, I got this at night, I got this. I will always make time for things, and this is so important to me. It might have seemed out of the blue kind of deal to start a podcast because a lot of people are starting podcasts, but on my side, I just felt like this is a form of therapy that we can talk about things and helps other people. And so as far as planning things out, no, I mean we went through our full calendar of the whole entire year when we're recording, so I'm good. Oh. We're in it. Check.
We're in it to win it.
We're in it.
You have to set yourself up for success.
Exactly.
And done is better than undone.
Yeah.
So that's what matters. Dude, can we just acknowledge the little trauma indication right there? You're I just need to be busy. Otherwise, I'm gonna wear this. Would you say you hold value in accomplishments? If you're not accomplishing things, you don't feel like you bring any value?
100%. I need to do things and check things off the list.
You have to show your worth.
Yeah.
I did X, so I am worthy of Y.
That's trauma right
My
there.
gosh,
why would you have to put it that way?
No, because it's I feel that I battle with that myself.
Dude.
And just hearing you say that, I'm damn, we're really putting ourselves.
I don't think that I'm unworthy. I just feel
yes.
I just need to
I think deep down we do find value in ourselves and we know we're worthy, but we are constantly daily trying to prove that we are worthy when we don't.
Yeah. But to who though? I don't even have a thing to who. I think it's more I'm just trying to prove it every single day to be better and better and better. Exactly. And that goes the same thing with my job. Every single day I need to do XYZ to be better. And just check it off the list. And sometimes it might go into an ego thing, which I don't have much of an ego, but I think it's an internal ego that I'm you did this, great job, go to the next.
I mean, you're human, and it's good to have validation, and whatever form of validation you need, that's fine, as long as
I don't
it's not
validation from others.
Correct.
It makes me uncomfortable.
Yes, I was gonna say you have to find that balance, and that's something I'm struggling with.
Yeah.
Personally, of not letting that overtake. Okay, I guess I'm not worthy.
Yeah.
Or I guess I'm not good enough, and I suck. It's great to get the validation from others, but that shouldn't be your only drive or only way of seeing yourself.
Yeah. I always have a hard time when everybody's hey, I love your shirt. And I'm oh, this whole thing.
Come on, this little shabby rag.
I am trying to get better. Honestly, I'm trying to understand that, I need to stop. And, when you think about it, it's got to be a childhood thing.
Yeah.
Maybe you did not get as much attention or praise from your parents or whatever it is. And I know my parents were very young when they had not that young, but young when they had me. And I know that they were going through their own traumatic things after losing my brother. Correct. And I think that was a lot for my dad, that was a lot for my mom. And hindsight, my grandpa was the one taking care of me during that period of time. So there's a lot of things that I have struggled with internally, but it hasn't come to my attention as all of these things that happened until seeing my therapist Pete, for the past for the past 5 years or so, that we have really dug into what causes XYZ and why I do certain things, right?
Exactly.
So, yeah, are those trauma things? Yeah, most likely they are. Not necessarily in like a really bad way, but also things that like I'm aware of now that I need to, move little chess pieces kind of deal,
Exactly. You're just opening up the box of emotions and you're just looking back and, okay, why am I the way that I am? Do I need to fully change who I am? No, but is there areas that I can improve, and
100%.
how can I improve?
And if you don't improve, then you get stuck. Like, you got to grow every single day. You got to learn things. Like, there's plenty of things that I have grown, even in the past 5 years, 6 years.
And
so
you will be growing for the rest of your life.
100%.
And that's part of it. That's the beauty of it, is you're never supposed to just stay how you are always. Like, there's always going to be a new adventure, a new perspective, a new struggle that you're going to overcome, which therefore should make you a better person.
Yeah.
And that's a beautiful thing in that regard. And I'm sure your parents were not trying to make you a trauma child that only sees your worth and accomplishments, but I mean, parenting's hard, and they were going through their own things. Doesn't necessarily justify, but like, we have to acknowledge, I doubt your mom and dad were trying to make you feel like if Emis doesn't achieve X, then we're not going to give her love,
Yeah.
But it's just how it worked out. So it's good that you're working on that to know, okay, my value isn't only when I do X, I always have value. But oh, the little girl in you just needs a little hug. Not a little hug, a big hug.
Probably.
Yeah. Oh.
Probably.
But you're working on it, and that's what matters, girly.
Yes, ma'am.
So with that, talking about the little girl, looking back, if you could give any advice today to her, what would you say? Like,
I think one of the things that I struggle the most is, asking for help. Because I'm always like, I could do it. I could do it. I could do it. So I think the one thing that I would bring back and, tell her would be like, it is okay to be vulnerable.
Yeah.
It is okay to ask for help. It is okay to bring others into the pictures versus, being so independent and doing everything yourself.
Yeah.
I think vulnerability is a big thing for me that I always have like a hard time opening up to people.
Yeah.
It takes me a long time to do that, and to bring it back to certain things in my past. Like, I think a lot of people had a hard time, even in past relationships, like reading into if I even liked them, let alone love them, like if I even liked them.
Dang.
So it's more like, vulnerability is a big thing, but like, I think when you have gone through lost in the past, it makes you, harden a little bit, where it's like, if I let this person in, like fully in, what could happen, like when they leave?
Exactly.
So I think that would be one of the things, like be more vulnerable, be more open, and also being okay with asking for help. Because heck, I have a really hard time asking for help.
Yeah.
I don't ask people to help things, I just do it. And I think even in relationships, that's hard because, the guy wants to be there for you to do things. And if you do everything yourself, that's like, what am I good for, right?
Yeah.
And, that comes down to like how men are built, how women are built, like the feminine side, the masculine side. Men are providers. I think that's a big deal, but if you don't allow them to be providing and doing the things that they need to do because you're so, hyper independent, it makes it challenging. So, that's what I would say. Like, be a little bit more open, be more vulnerable, be more, adaptable to asking for help.
Yeah, I think a lot of people can relate to that for sure. I mean, it's hard to be vulnerable, especially with growing up and not learning that way, right? Like learning it as like a weakness, when in reality it actually can be a big strength when you can be vulnerable and ask for help when help is needed.
Absolutely.
Because, man, sometimes you can look back and you're like, dang, if only I would have asked for help. Like, the outcome could have been so much different. And it doesn't make you lesser than who you are.
100%.
If you did that. Oh. Sorry. I love this.
I know. This is me being vulnerable.
I know. I'm so proud of you.
It's kind of uncomfortable, but
it is. Yeah, very, very.
We're rolling with it.
Exactly.
And we talked about being raw with our listeners and speakers. So here I am. Like, it's a big deal. So
I'm proud of you, sis.
Thanks, babe.
You were putting actions to the words you say, which is a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
But, well, going in that, what is one thing, I know we talked in previous podcasts, what are some things that keep you grounded and inspired, especially when life is overwhelming? Like, would you say religion is something that you fall onto, family values? What's kind of your perspective on that?
I mean, my family values have always been there. Like, I'm very close with my parents. I love them to pieces. I think they're wonderful people. And I think they really, you know, installed that in me kind of deal, right? But as far as religion goes, I always grew up Orthodox. And we always, like, believed in God. But it wasn't much of a... you have to go to church, you have to do XYZ. Because keep in mind, like, my parents grew up in communism. I was born in communism. We became democracy, like, back in the 90s. But still, like, your values are completely different, right? Like, family was super big when it was communism. Like, family is everything, this. Like, morals and values were very, very strict on certain things, right? So I grew up with those, but also keep in mind I came here when I was 12 years old.
It's young.
So I have spent more years in America, and I'm very much more Americanized than I am Albanian in a weird way. Like, I think, like, I took the best of both worlds. I took the best of, you know, the Albanian morals that I have, and then I took the best of the American things that I learned and put the two of them together, which made me the person that I am right now. I think that it's a little bit challenging as far as, like, when it comes to, like, religion. I've always believed in God, but for a while I kind of fell off in a way. There were so many things that I questioned, so many things that happened in my life, like, and sometimes, like, why did this happen? Like, you start questioning God, and you're like, why would you, if you're a good God, why are you putting all these things in my pocket? Like, why am I going through such hurt? Why am I going through XYZ if you are such a good God, right? And then you think of things where you're like, there's war, there are children that are starving, you know, children that are dying, all of these things. So, like, you start questioning those things, right? And I've never been just like a follower or a believer of, like, if somebody told me, I fully believe it. I question it. And I, you know, dig deep in things. But the past year and a half, I have truly developed, like, a so much deeper relationship with God. And not necessarily like me, you know, going to church or doing other things, just like learning more about God and actually communicating and leaving things. And my, the past 5 years, my anxiety and, like, not necessarily depression, but just my anxiety used to be over the roof. Like, with my job that I had, being under tremendous amount of stress, and past relationship was just this weird on and off thing. So, like, a lot of stress came from that to the point that, like, it was really hard for me to even fall asleep at night. And I would have this, like, weird anxieties and, like, I don't know, some odd things of, like, what if somebody breaks in my house, or just random stuff that I cannot explain.
Like, super anxious thoughts.
Super anxious thoughts. And that was prior to a year and a half. I was having all of those. Just constant. And once I started just developing my relationship with God, I am so much more at peace.
Good.
And everything that happens right now in my life, I just let it go. And I'm like, hey, if this person is meant to stay in my life, God's going to make it work, right?
Exactly.
And if it's not, then it's going to be removed out of my life. And if my career is going to start booming, then I'm going to leave it up to God, and I'm going to do everything that I possibly can. I'm going to be amazing at it. I'm going to learn it. I'm going to grow on it. And if it's meant for me, it's meant for me. But I have developed this thing internally where I am no longer taking things in my hands. Because I did that. Like, even when things were bad in certain things, I pushed harder. I pushed harder because I cared so much for that person. I pushed harder because I was like, this is my job. I got to do XYZ. I pushed harder to keep things and people in my life because I was afraid of like, I guess I have this thing of abandonment, right?
Yeah.
Which is a big issue these days. But you know, mine came in from a bunch of things, right? Mine came in since I was a kid. I almost lost my mom.
Yeah.
And my grandpa had to take care of me. And then, like, you know, 4 years later, my grandpa passes away in front of me.
Oof.
Gets a heart attack. And I'm a kid.
Yeah.
I'm like 4 or 5 years old at the time.
That's a lot to take in.
And then back to back, my other grandpa passes away. My other grandma passes away. So, like, I had all of these back to back things.
You move to a country, you don't know the
Exactly.
language. Yeah.
Then we're moving somewhere else where I'm leaving my family behind, my friends behind.
Yeah.
Now it's like a brand new thing. And you don't necessarily think of all of these things as traumatic things when you're a kid.
Yeah.
But the more I look into things, the abandonment stuff, like I got so many things that happen in my life that, like, when you trace back to it, it brings you to the point that, like, when I love somebody, I truly love somebody to the core.
Yeah.
And I would do anything for them. I would, you know, wake up in the middle of the night and go and help them. No matter what it is, I would do everything for them because I love them so much.
Yeah.
So sometimes even in certain relationships, I may have, you know, been there for such a long time because I truly cared and I didn't want it to fail.
Yeah.
I have a thing about failing, like I never want to fail, which is
Yeah.
unrealistic. And that's something that I'm learning about. But, you know, I'm learning to leave it up to God versus me taking it in my hands.
Yeah.
And when I look at the past relationship with friends and, you know, dating people or whatever it may have been, I may have stayed too long in it because I took it in my own hands.
Yeah.
When maybe God was saying, like, hey, like, all of these things that they're doing is not good for you or whatever it may be. Because nobody's, you know, doesn't have any faults. I have plenty of, you know, faults and flaws.
Yeah.
I'm a human.
Everybody does.
So it takes two to tango. I'm a big fan of that. Like, you know, sometimes you may tango a little bit less than the other person's tangoing, but, you know, like...
You gotta tango to tango.
You got tango to tango. So, like, there's no such thing as far as, like, relationships when nobody has a fault, right? But at the end of the day, I have just really have grown that relationship with God, and I'm thankful and I'm blessed, and I've just left it in His hands. And since then, I've been way more at peace.
Good.
So...
Yeah, I mean, you can only control so much, and
Yeah.
I mean, what's that one saying to where, like, you need to be in the now, because you can't change the past and you can't control the future.
100%.
So
I'm in the day. I
Yeah.
live day by day.
otherwise, you're gonna make yourself sick, which to the point you recovering, like, it sounded like you were driving yourself a bit crazy. You know,
I was.
your anxiety, your stress, everything, because you were just trying to control these variables that are just out of your control.
Yeah.
You know, but I don't blame you for just wanting to be there and help
Yeah.
the situation. But in reality, you could only do so much.
Everybody wants the best, right? Everybody wants to, you know, have a great relationship, have, you know, great friendship, be a good person and do that. And, you know, that's fine. But sometimes, like, if you do too much, you know, sometimes you get taken for granted. And that's fair, which is okay.
Yeah.
I'm okay with letting it go now. I'm like, hey, it's not meant to be. So it's
Yeah.
fine.
So what would you say right now currently is, like, the top 4 things on your list that you just want to achieve this year? Like, your
Yeah,
goals.
that's great.
What would you say?
The job that I have, which is fantastic, I really started to love it, and you know, I've even in the past 6 months that I've been in it, now, like, they're like, hey, like, we would like for you to go into leadership, like,
Nice.
you know, and something that I've always loved. I love teaching, I love growing, developing people. Like, it makes me happy when people, like, achieve their goals. Makes me happy.
Yeah.
I've always been this person that, like, I love to see other people succeed, and you know, that's why, you know, I was a leader in the other job, and you know, that's one of the things. So I want to look into that.
Okay.
I really want this podcast to succeed. Like, I feel like it's our baby, and
It's our little podcast, baby.
I know, and I think it's going to be great if people love listening to us and, you know, relating with us, and we're always going to be honest and real. And I think I really want to focus on this. As far as personal goals, I think, you know, I'm definitely traveling this year a lot. So I have Mexico coming up. I have Europe, and, you know, I want to go to a couple of places that I haven't gone before. So travel is big for me on the list. And honestly, you know, a future relationship. I'm definitely open to having somebody by my side that is as good as, as good as it can be,
Yeah.
I guess, so.
That's beautiful. And I'm excited for you to achieve those. I know you will. And to a conversation we've had the other day, not in this podcast, but just personally, just about relationships and not settling.
Yeah.
And just, I listened to this video the other day, social media, woo! But it was this girl, she put it into perspective, which was really refreshing. But basically, just not settling for anything and everything because you're going to get crap. You know what I mean? Like, and that's something that, in your point, wanting a very, like, fulfilling, mutual, growing relationship, it's a beautiful thing. But you can easily get, lost in the sauce and thinking, like, oh, this person's for me. But in reality, like, are they really for you? Or was it just the first thing that came around?
Exactly. That's very true. I've never been, like, a settler person because I've always had this, kind of, like, close enough but kind of far away.
Yeah.
And, if things work out, they work out. And if they don't, they don't. Like, it's just not meant to be. So I've never been much of a settler. But I will say, like we talked about, like, I definitely need to be a little bit more warm to people.
Yeah.
Versus, people being intimidated.
Yeah. I mean, you gotta put yourself out there.
It's
right?
true.
There's that
I don't do much of that.
Of putting yourself out there and being an extreme, and then also to protecting yourself. Because, like, to your point, you don't want to just let anybody in.
Yeah.
Nobody deserves that. They need to earn your trust. They need to show their worth in that way.
Yeah.
And vice versa. You need to prove to them all that.
Of course. 100%.
Well, good. Well, I mean, you've covered quite a bit, which is great. So now our listeners can have a little bit better idea of who you are. I know you want to do another episode just kind of talking more about your personal health and how that's affected everything and how you're navigating that. Do you kind of want to just briefly touch base on what you're hoping to achieve?
We definitely can. And when I first came to you regarding this podcast, the main thing behind it was the struggles that I was going through, right? I have always been a very healthy person, and I've always, I've never really had many issues and things. And, when you go through certain things in life that are uncertain as to, why are you getting always angry all the time? Why are you feeling this way?
Yeah.
And you don't do anything about it. You're just kind of letting things be. So as far as, like, my personal health, my main reason for us starting the podcast was to put light into what birth control does to women and what stress does to women.
Yeah.
And all the things that we think are so okay in this society that are actually not okay for us.
Yeah, it's crazy.
So I wanted to definitely touch base. I think I had a really hard time at the beginning with it, as far as, like, what I found out.
Yeah.
And then just going through the general, every day-to-day kind of deal and talking about that. So how much deep do you want me to go today versus the, actually really going through the episode? You tell me.
Go in. No, I'm kidding. No, no, that's perfect. Just because it gives the listeners kind of an insight of what the next episodes in the future will entail.
Yeah.
And just kind of another reassuring of the purpose of this.
Yeah.
Which is a beautiful thing. I mean, we are just humans, and we're all going through different challenges, and it's refreshing to listen and to just be reminded, like, hey, I'm not the only one struggling in this world,
Yeah.
Everybody's going through different things, and it's just nice to hear, okay, someone's going through it, but they're also surviving, They're doing better than just surviving. They're accomplishing their goals.
I think the past 20 years have been like this different era kind of deal. It's just strange because everybody was so focused on, birth control's this, and, like, who cares? Like, here, take it for XY reason. And you're like, okay, like, whatever, like, I'll take it. If the doctor is saying I should take it, I will take it. Say less. Exactly, say less. Like, if it's, that, we're going to definitely do it. But I think we are shifting our mindset recently to the point that we're just like, we're not going to do XYZ. Like, just because somebody says it, they're getting paid on all these things. So that was my main game plan. That was why I reached out to you to open this podcast. Obviously, we're dabbling in so many different things, which are great. But yeah, so that episode is going to be based on facts and,
your personal journey.
my personal journey.
I love that. I think the biggest motto, at least I know in my life and I know in your life too, is trust but verify.
Yeah.
Let's trust that maybe the doctor has our best interest, but let's verify that.
100%.
Let's see, should I really be taking this birth control? Should I really be taking this medication? Just do your research, and I know sometimes your options are limited.
Yeah.
But just let's look at the bigger picture before you just drastically make one decision.
Yeah.
Because unfortunately, the world we live in isn't all that it says to be.
Every time.
But thank you guys so much for joining us for another episode. Hopefully you guys have a better idea of who Artemis is. I know it's only the tip of the iceberg, but it's a good insight to kind of know, okay, who are you as a person?
Yeah. And I think it's great for our listeners to get to know us better, get an insight of our family and who we are. So
yeah. And I mean, the purpose is to just have conversations.
Exactly.
Hopefully we make you scratch your head a little. Maybe you don't fully agree with us, which that's totally fine.
Yeah.
But it's just a fresh perspective.
100%.
That we love. Well, thank you guys for joining us. We have many, many more exciting episodes coming up. Let us know what you think of this one. We will definitely be taking a deeper dive on who Emis is. We'll be doing also one as well for me, and even our guests that come in, just so we have those new perspectives constantly in this podcast.
100%.
All right, guys. Well, we'll catch you on the next episode. Give us a like, a follow, even a subscribe if you're on that YouTube. But again, thank you for listening.
Bye, guys.